Welcome back to Cynthia Untamed. My name is Cynthia Nyongesa, and this is your youthful and educational platform where we have conversations that inspire the current generation of leaders to dream big and hope deeply. Our YouTube shout out today goes out to Miriam Tina, who is one of our viewers. Thank you so much for your question today. And she asked, what are some of the competency-based interview questions that are usually asked? And she asked in the video where I talked about how to be a UN volunteer. So if you've not watched that video, do check it out. A competency-based interview is basically an interview that could either be by phone call, a physical interview, a Skype call, a Zoom call, whichever, where the interviewer has a list of questions and they also have a marking guide, and they use that to evaluate specific skills, mostly leadership skills, research skills, teamwork, adaptability, your ability to interact with new culture and new people, among many other skills. When you're going into a competency-based interview, or when you are told that you will be called for a competency-based interview, it's very important for you to do your research. Researching is so important. Never go into an interview, never get a phone call for an interview and you know nothing about that organization. You must know the little bit tiny details, because at some point they might even ask you to ask them a question. So if you know nothing about that organization, then definitely you're going to be on the wrong. It is also vital for you to provide evidence when you are speaking. Somebody told me when I was applying for a certain fellowship, they told me, show, don't tell. Don't say you are the head of communication in a particular company, you are a lawyer in a particular company. Show us, what is the evidence? What are some of the cases you've handled? What are some of the communication assets that you've produced, either graphics, social media posts, videos, anything that you can think of. It's very important for you to show evidence, and evidence could go by examples, going by numbers, going by statistics, showing how something changed from point A to point B. So for example, if you joined an organization, maybe the organization's social media handles was at 1,000, and because of the work that you were doing over the course of the years or the course of the month, you grew it to 10,000. Show that. Don't say you were the one handling social media. Say we grew from point A to point B. Show that you have experience in that particular field. And I know, given that a lot of viewers here may be young people, it may be difficult for them to show experience, which is why I keep telling people, start very early. Start from the day you start college, from the day you enter like this. Look for spaces to volunteer. Look for clubs and societies to head and lead. Look for things that you can do. Join music festivals, attend conferences, volunteer there. That way you're going to be able to get some bit of experience that may not necessarily be professional, but you can use that to say, I actually have experience with working with teams of people, because during a certain conference I was able to mobilize a number of people to come for this particular event. You see, that way you're able to show experience, and that ties into evidence. You also need to stay very calm. An interviewer is able to tell when you are not calm. I have had the chance of sitting on the other side of an interview panel where I'm the person who's interviewing, and I remember at some point someone walked in for an interview and they just froze. And not to be judgmental, because I remember also for my first interview, I literally just froze and forgot almost everything I was supposed to say, and I started jumbling around the words, and my interview ended up being shorter than normal. But I can tell you for sure, if you are calm, if you are able to breathe and your brain gets enough oxygen, you will remember a number of things. And even if you forget something, you can come up with something on the spot, which is why it's very important for you to stay calm. Lastly, as you answer the questions, it's very important for you to use the STAR approach. In one of my videos where I was talking about interview skills, I talked about the STAR approach. You can go watch it and get more tips there. And basically the STAR approach means you talk about the situation, you talk about the task at hand, you talk about the action you took and what was the result. And even as you answer those competency-based interview questions, you will find that as you answer them, you're actually able to articulate your words and your thoughts. Now let's head into the questions that you may be asked. I will not cover all of them, but I'll also help you to respond to some of the questions that are very common during the interview. First question, you might be asked to describe a situation in which you led a team. Remember, I told you about the STAR approach. So first things first, the situation. There was a time we had the World Environment Day. It's celebrated every other year. But for that year, I remember it was 2019, the situation was the World Environment Day. The task at hand was to come up with an advocacy strategy for the day. So I work in communications, and some of these days we have to do something to engage with young people. So I had to come up with something that I could do on the particular day so that this could be amplified on social media. So remember, I'm talking about leading a team. So the first thing I did is I gathered my colleagues at the office and we had a meeting on what we could do on the day. And because of having that meeting, we actually realized that some of my colleagues actually come from settlements where sometimes there's difficulty in collecting trash. So they told us, I actually know a group of young people from Mathare, Nairobi. They actually know where we could collect some trash. They even have resources. They have spades, they have wheelbarrows, they have all those things. So we can go and work together with them and also amplify their voices. Remember, a lot of young people out here are doing lots of great stuff, but they don't have the connections to resources for their work to be amplified. And so I said, yes, that's actually a really good space. So we're still looking at the task. So what did we do next? When I was leading that team, the action was to gather the resources from the office and gather resources from the young people at the office and also outside of the office to go and do a cleanup for World Environment Day. And among my colleagues, we also have people who are professionals in taking videos and taking pictures. So being a comms person, of course, I came up with a guideline on some of the videos that they could do, some of the cutaways for that video. And when we went to do the cleanup, they were doing the videography and photography, and we were engaging with the young people in Mathare area of Nairobi. And then the result was that we had the young people's voices captured on video. They talked about their passion for the environment. And the best part was that when we posted this on our UNICEF Kenya handles, I will also leave a screenshot and a link to that video here so that you see it. When I posted there, it was also amplified at the global level by the UNICEF global account. And because of that, you can see that young people in Mathare had their voices heard at a more global level. And for them, that means that they feel more encouraged to keep doing the work that they need to do. Another common question that's usually asked during competency-based interview is describe a situation where you handled a conflict. Now, personally, I have tried to think of a professional situation where I handled a conflict and I can't figure out one. But basically, you would approach it the same way. What was the situation? Were there two people fighting? Not necessarily physically. Was there a disagreement where you work? It could be in your office. It could also be in a school. Just think of a professional situation. What was the task? What were you required to do? Then what action did you take and what were the results? For example, the results could be you were finally able to agree on how you would share resources. Maybe the resource was a room in a school. Maybe the resource was some kind of money. Try and think of those situations, because here they're looking at how you handle conflict, how you lead teams, what is your temperament when you're handling these situations. Do you get angry? Are you the kind of person who says, okay, sort yourself, me, I will leave this situation and I'm going to go away, I will return once this situation is over? So try and think of that situation and always approach it using the STAR method. Third question, what are your weaknesses? Now, a common mistake that a lot of people make, young people make when they're answering this question, is that when they're asked what their weakness is, they sort of put themselves down. This question is not supposed to put you down in an interview. So for example, let's just give an example. You're short-tempered. Don't start saying, I am short-tempered, and so it makes it very difficult for me to actually interact with people, all that. Because as you're saying that, remember the invigilator, rather the interviewer, is actually writing points. Okay, cannot work with people when they feel angry. When they are sad, they go all over the place and abuse everyone. So remember, answering a question about your weakness should actually work to your advantage. So for example, you can actually talk about a weakness and say that you've actually been trying to improve on it. So let's say, for example, your weakness is you are a micromanager. A micromanager is a person who's always looking at what people are doing. So for example, you're leading a team, you're constantly asking them, how far are you? After 20 minutes, how far are you? Sometimes you even want to do the work for that person just because you like micromanaging. But you can say, I'm actually a micromanager, and for what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to improve myself. I've actually taken a specific course from Harvard University. Actually Harvard offers free online courses. So you can say I've been doing a free online courses from Harvard or from LinkedIn on how to deliver tasks more efficiently, on how to divide tasks among my team, and how to be patient with my team, identifying what their strengths are, and also enabling them to be free in the workspace. So you can talk about such a situation. Don't use this as an opportunity to put yourself down. Fourth question, tell us about a time when you faced change and how you dealt with it. This can be a tricky question, but it does not have to be very difficult. So situation here, in 2020, COVID-19 was reported in Kenya, and that was in March. And I was so used to going to the office and sometimes going to the field, especially to write impact stories. And when COVID-19 started in Kenya, I was no longer able to go to the office or go to the field to capture human interest story. And the task here is capturing human interest story every other time. So what action did I take? Instead of wallowing around in despair now that I could not go into the field to collect stories, I actually linked up with the people on the ground. Because remember, as you go to collect stories from outside of Nairobi, for example, there are people who live there. It's not like when you go there is nobody there. So I linked up with them and we actually talked, and I told them, because of COVID, I can no longer come to that space. Is it possible for me to link up with you? Let's talk anytime I need an impact story. Could you possibly safely go and collect that data for me? And because of connecting that like that and linking together with people who are closer to beneficiaries of our work, then I was able to collect stories, and there you have your result. Describe a time when you improved the way you work. Now, as we as young people, as we get into the workplace, our academics are very important. I always repeat that education is important. If you can study and study up to PhD level or 20 PhDs, go ahead and do that. But aside from your academics, there are other skills that employers look at. Presentation skills, people skills, cultural skills, self-awareness, empathy, skills like that are not necessarily taught in school. So in this case, you can use that situation. So for me, my situation would be when I was at the university, we used to do PowerPoint presentations for our assignments. And to be honest, in my course, in the academic program I was in, law, they never used to look at your presentation, like how colorful is your PowerPoint presentation and all that. They were mostly very keen on the content. If you understood the case law, if you understood a certain policy and how it would be improved, if you understood how case A compared to case B and all that, that is what they mostly looked at. And for me then, I did not realize that, actually PowerPoint presentation skills or any presentation of any point is actually very important. So task here, at some point, I was required to do a presentation for the whole office in terms of the impact of our communication work on advocacy and programs. So I did come up with a presentation, but I remember when I was preparing it, I was more focused on the content. I was more focused on how many numbers we had grown to, how many retweets we had gotten, how many more people had heard of us, all that, the content, but I was not so keen on how it looked to the ordinary person. And I'm sure you've been to meetings, presentations, and somebody displays a presentation up there and you're like, wait, did they actually just take a Microsoft Word document and just paste it on the PowerPoint application, or what did it happen? So this is a skill that you need to learn. So for me, in this situation, after I did the task of preparing the presentation, good thing I had somebody to look at it. And they actually told me, no, you actually need to simplify this so that people are able to understand. You need to put links to videos so that in between as you speak, people can watch a 1 minute, 2 minute video, so that, like they look at it and it's not just you talking. And because of that, I was able to integrate, change the colors, linked it to our brand and all that. And by the time I did the presentation, everybody was so impressed. They're like, wow, that presentation was amazing. And you see, that way I learned how to improve my work. That was the result. And after that, I actually learned, I may not be such a good designer. I may not be a graphic web developer, but there are actually free tools that can enable me to create better presentations. You can check out Canva. You can check out Prezi. There's another one called Prezi, and many other tools that can help you to present your data better. And what I've actually noticed, the Microsoft PowerPoint version that I'm using is way different than from the Microsoft PowerPoint application that I was using when I was in class 5. A lot has changed. The graphics are better. You can even convert your PowerPoint to a video, all those things. So try and learn all those skills. And even as you present such things to an interview, the interviewer will be like, oh yeah, they're actually willing to learn. They know how to present. They know how to improve their work. They actually take instructions when somebody tells you, no, you could have done this better, you actually learn, and that way you're better and you actually get points in that interview. Lastly, sometimes you may be asked a question out of the blue. So I remember when I was interviewing for the Young African Leadership Initiative Regional Leadership Center here in East Africa. If you've not heard of YALI, do check out YALI. It was started by President Obama in the US. Then now they have branches here in Kenya at Kenyatta University. They have one in South Africa and West Africa. So you can check it out if you are a young leader and you want to do an online course where you can improve your leadership skills. And in that interview, I was asked, if you were a bicycle, what part would you be? And that caught me totally off guard. I was like, what a bicycle? And I remember the last time I learned parts of a bicycle, I think I was 10 years old. The last time I rode a bicycle, I think, was last year, just before the pandemic. And I was like, no, I do not remember. I do not even know. So I just said, okay, I'll be the handles, which was very interesting because I couldn't even remember what those things are called. So here the situation is to describe if you were a bicycle, or if you were a tree, if you were a rat, if you were a cake, what part would you be? Such things. And the questions could vary. So the situation here was to talk about the bicycle. So I said I would be the handles, and then they asked me, why would you be the handles? And you see, immediately I realized, they're testing something. So I said I would be the handles because I believe that I am a leader. I knew the YALI Center was looking for a leader. So I said I will be the leader because as I hold it, then I'm able to direct the front wheel. You know how a bicycle moves is that when you turn it left or right, then the bicycle also moves in that direction. Same thing to a car when you're driving forward. Whether you turn it right or left, the car will move in that direction. And I said, yeah, I'm actually a leader, and I would be that part of the bicycle so that I'm able to lead my team. So that situation, then the task, riding the bicycle, what action would I take? So you can give an example of when you led a team, or a hypothetical situation. If you were to do something in an organization, how would you do it? And what are your expected results? In a bicycle, it's very simple. If you turn it left or you turn it right, the bicycle will move in whichever direction that you decide. So look out for such questions and you'll be able to do well in your interview. I trust that you have enjoyed this episode of Cynthia Untamed. We were talking about competency-based interview questions. Do tell a friend to tell a friend. Cynthia Untamed is your youthful and educational channel, and we also aim to provide you with resources as young people, and always tell you about the opportunities that exist. So number one, do check out Young African Leadership Initiative. See if you can apply for a fellowship online or apply for the Mandela Washington Fellowship. If you check out YALI, you will get all that information there. Number two, if you did not know, LinkedIn provides a lot of resources. When you join LinkedIn, you'll actually see a lot of videos here and there talking about different work situations, different work relationships, different things in the workplace. So do check out LinkedIn and see a couple of videos where you can learn. You can also check out Coursera. Coursera also offers a lot of online courses that you can use to get points here and there. Sometimes you might want to improve on a particular skills and you may not have money to do a whole degree. So check that out. You will also get resources on that. And lastly, do check out Ajira. Ajira Digital is an initiative of the government that also provides training on different skills. So do check out Ajira and you will be able to get more skills as a young person. Thank you so much for being part of Cynthia Untamed, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.